Hey friends, welcome back to the Life of a Makeup Artist podcast. I am over the moon today because we have a longtime friend in the studio, the Danessa Myricks. Danessa is a photographer, entrepreneur, product developer, and the founder of Danessa Myricks Beauty.
Hi, my love.
Hi, oh my God, how are you?
I am great, and this is super exciting. You know, I'm obsessed with you. I love you so much, and I'm so excited to be here. I love watching every episode. I see so many incredible people. You have so many beautiful conversations, and I feel so lucky to be here. So
Oh my
thank you.
gosh, I appreciate you so much. So before we get into all the things, how are you? How's life?
Life is exciting.
Mhm.
It's scary.
Mhm.
It's abundant.
Mhm.
It's I'm sleepy.
How many hours do you usually on average get?
So this is not a brag moment at all because sleep is the most important thing, but I'm literally maybe 5 hours tops, which is not good.
Is that an Oura ring that you have?
It
on?
is, and the Oura ring
So on
tells me
fire all the
every
time?
day your brain is dying. Your brain is dying because you are not sleeping. Yeah,
Right.
it's literally the top of my list of things that I have to work the hardest on is sleep.
Wow.
Yeah.
I want to get one, but I'm so scared. I'm like, it's gonna tell me too much.
It's gonna, yeah. I mean, that's why I got it.
Right.
Yeah, because they say things you don't track don't change. So.
Right. Okay, I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have been a pinnacle in the beauty industry for a very long time.
Thank you for saying that.
No, I mean, the girls that know. You know what I mean? Like, if you were in the beauty industry, you kind of know Danessa from education and all the things. But how did you start? You've been doing it for what, like 24 years?
24 years, yes. I started quite accidentally. It's not like I planned on being a makeup artist. I was working at a publishing company and they publish beauty magazines. So, you know, all of the magazines that you see when you're at the salon. And I did sales and marketing there. And I did that for a really long time. And it was there where I got introduced to the idea of makeup artistry and photography because we book shoots all the time.
Right.
And that job ended. Actually, the founder was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I'm 30 with 2 kids. Like, what the heck? What do you mean?
Right.
And so basically I had to start all over again. And at that time, I wasn't even a makeup wearer, really. Blue eyeliner was my thing. I could do that. You know, I played around, but, you know, for my
Blue
skin
mascara
tone,
too?
Blue mascara too, all day. I played around, but I didn't really, there wasn't a lot available for my skin tone. So it wasn't something that I leaned into. But at the moment when all of that changed, I just used it as an opportunity to just do something different. I always had like creative energy in my body,
Right.
but never really used it.
Right.
And this was just what was in front of me. I love the transformation. You know, I always saw myself pretty much outside of the beauty space. And so it was exciting to watch like artists work and transform people. It was just like this thing. I was on the outside looking in.
Right.
And so I know I just saw it as an opportunity that maybe I could be a part of it. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to get another job because I can lose that at any moment. I want to build something that will last forever. And that's when I just started to teach myself to do makeup.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when you first, the job happened, you're not there anymore. Did you start a brand right away? Like, what happened in between?
No, I didn't know how to do makeup at all. I had to teach myself how to do makeup first. I had no makeup in my house. Like, literally, my start was just building a career as a makeup artist. Like, and I was on unemployment. Like, I didn't really have any money. So, like, my first shopping experience with makeup was at Walgreens.
Wow.
And that's literally, my kit was a Walgreens kit for a very long time. I would go and, like, buy pencils and break them up and melt down the stuff in the inside and do that. So it was, in the beginning, I was just like, how to be a makeup artist. And the landscape was very different than it is right now. There was no like, oh, let me go to a school. And even if there was, I didn't have any money to go.
Right.
It was more an environment of mentorship and you have to know somebody who's going to teach you. So literally I was just on my own in my basement, like flipping through magazines, reading books, like trying to figure it out.
Because you can ask anybody like what products they were using or tips or anything like that.
No, back then it was very different. Like, when I would do shoots back then, like people would like tape over all their product. It was like, because, you know, there was no social media. There was none of this. So like when you worked hard to get a client, like you wanted to keep it. And like that was your secret sauce. So it wasn't the atmosphere of sharing like it is now. Yeah, very different.
Wow. So, okay, so I kind of want to get into your years spent in product development because
Okay.
we already know like this is the reason why DMB is where it is today. But you spent time with Benefit, INV, like where did that happen right after your job? Like when did the product development start to blossom for you?
Yeah, it was actually so a lot of people know me from education. When I first started doing makeup, like the business that I really started was teaching makeup.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to make educational DVDs. Um, they were like 2.5 hours long. I have a series of like 20 something DVDs. That's how people knew me. And because I had those DVDs, or shows would invite me to come and teach. And actually shows that didn't have makeup programs, I would reach out to them and say, please let me teach, because I
Right.
was trying to build a business.
Right.
And I would make product in my basement so
Mhm.
that at the end of my session, I had something to sell.
Mm-hmm.
So I was always making things myself. But at those shows, that's where brands had an opportunity to see me. And Kiss was one of those first brands that saw me at those shows. And I would have big audiences, and they saw a lot of people shopping. And so they asked me to, they cater to ethnic communities with the products that they make. Or they were leaning into that. And it wasn't really their expertise. So
Right.
that's when they hired me. And they were like, do you know how to make makeup? I'm like, of course I did. Yeah. I don't know how true that was. I knew how to mix things in my basement. But what I did know is how the product should perform, what the shade should be, and all of
Exactly.
those things. And so that's really where it got started.
Right.
And all of the brands that I consulted with since then, even my experience at Benefit, came from somebody who worked with me at KISS and
Right.
invited me to Benefit to do a day of consulting
Right.
that turned into 6 years of
Wow.
development there. Yeah.
You just never know who you're going to meet and how your journey is going to unfold.
Oh, 100%. I tell people that all the time in life, but especially in beauty. It's very incestuous, and you have to be so careful how you treat people. It needs to always be at the highest level. You will see them again.
Yeah.
You will see them again. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. And it's so crazy. Like, I was thinking about this while I was taking a shower, but it's just like, it doesn't matter what people say, good or bad about you, but like, your energy will always speak for you.
100%.
And like, from the inception, like, of meeting you when I first moved to New York to now, like, you are always such just a bright light,
Oh my
just
God, thank
great
you.
energy. Like, I really want to thank you for that, because in the industry, like you said, you just never know who you could meet. Sometimes you click with people, sometimes you don't. But at the end of the day, the best you could do is who you are, and like who you are inspires a lot of people. And I just want you to know that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
It's not an
That
easy
means a lot.
industry, It's not an easy industry.
It's not. It's actually very hard.
Yeah.
It's very hard, but it's also very rewarding. It's inspiring, to be around, so many different creative people who have a different perspective on how they see things. Like for me, there's no other industry I'd want to be in, but it's also very much an internal industry. And I think I spend the most of my time working on myself on the inside, because that's the make or break in the beauty space. Is like how you feel about yourself, and the impact that you have on others. Like, that's the real trick.
Yeah.
That most people don't really focus on. They're focusing on the product and the brands and all of the things.
Sometimes comparison and
all
like,
of that.
why this is not happening for me. So like, when you say you work mostly on yourself, like, how do you do that?
I mean, daily practices. And it's, it's that thing. When you run a business, it's like you're always trying to rush to work and do the work thing. And so I have to really like carve out the time. When you wake up, the first thing that you're doing is 3 things that you're grateful for. You're meditating for at least 20 minutes. What am I listening to in the morning? It's like a constant, how am I feeding myself?
Right.
Like the end of the day evaluation of like, what did you feel about you did today? What worked, what didn't? Where did you win? What do you need to work on? Like literally it's an everyday.
Yeah.
And a lot of it has to do with the people who are around you.
I was literally about to say, it's who you surround yourself with. You have to be so cognizant of that.
Very, very careful, because, that's where the pendulum swings. And, are you with people who are feeding you or defueling you, and it's a constant every day just thinking about that. But there's so much I need to learn. There's so much I need to learn about myself. There's so much I need to learn about just being an entrepreneur. I have so much to learn, and I'm very I'm like a sponge. So I have to be careful what I'm soaking up too.
Right.
Because it's really just guiding my perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't work on who I am as an individual and know what I want for me, it can be very easy to be moved in the wrong direction. Right. So it's just really important. My health, what I eat, like all of the things, like the aura ring, I'm like having to balance always, like you, the person, and then you in this business at all times. Because one doesn't work without the other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So seeing that you're so aware of, what you consume and what you feed yourself, do you find that it's hard to open up sometimes to people?
Yeah, I mean, by nature, and I'm really working on not saying this out loud because I'm affirming it, but by nature, I'm very quiet and I'm very introverted. This is not the industry for that.
Right.
So just really interactions are challenging. Just basic conversations like this, like, are very challenging for me because it's not necessarily my comfort zone.
Right.
But what I've also learned is that the value that you give people is in your story and in conversations like this. It's where the most impact is created. So I'm really working on being more open and being more vulnerable in my conversations always because it helps someone. Because I know for me, that's what helps me. Other people's stories, knowing what's really happening on the levels that are not surface levels, like what's happening on the inside, what are the things that people are thinking about, the things that scare people, like that's how I learn, really. And that's really what helps develop me as an individual. So I know it needs to be reciprocated. If I want to receive that, I also need to be given it. Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know if you know this, but I was introduced to you. I think I've told you this at some point over the years, but I had to be maybe 2011 or 2012 before I moved to New York. I bought your color theory class. Yes, I bought I bought a color theory class.
What is this girl talking about?
No, me and my friend Renee Milford, I saved up all my little Trini coins and I was like, yes, we're going to do this course together and and I was just like, because, at that point, like I'm so new. I'm like, I need to soak up everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, you started doing your education. Was there a point in time where you were like, I need to step away from the product development for other people and focus solely on my own thing?
Yeah, 100%. I think, I made that decision in 2015, leading into 2016, because I've been doing it for so long for other people. And I don't take any of that for granted because I basically learned on the job. I mean, to be really honest, like I knew nothing about traveling to different countries, working in labs, I knew nothing about that. I was just studying in books and mixing stuff in my basement. So I had the best on-the-job education anybody could ask for, real life education. But for me, I was creating for other people's DNA and through other people's perspective of what the landscape of beauty looks like and their ideas on like who they were creating for. And it, I was making things that I couldn't even wear, to be quite honest.
Right.
They weren't for me. And so that doesn't feel good.
Right.
I knew that there was a bigger need. And also I had so many ideas. And the way I think about product is very different than how the brands that I was developing for thought about product.
Right.
It was like night and day.
Right.
So I was doing what I needed to do for them, but it wasn't feeding me really,
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. Okay, so growth, comes from learning lessons. It comes from failure. Your brand went through some evolutions because you had, was it Evolution Lashes?
I had all kinds of things. Like I
had it all. Tell us about how like your evolution of like all different brands that you've gone and you've had, and how you've grown from that. How you pushed through to get to the point you are today.
Yeah, I mean, there are a few things. There's a lot of barriers to entry in this space, right? And so sometimes you just have to get in when you fit in. So one thing, I started with the lashes first because I know how to do that. Like I did that like on a grand scale for Kiss. I mean, I know, like I use my makeup theory and like how we build the aesthetics of a face and how to lift and whatever, and I use that to design lashes. So, and it's not a hard business. It's easier than other things to do. So that's why my mind went there first. But I think the evolution of the brand really came when I started doing photography. When I stopped working at Benefit, I moved back home from San Francisco, and I was like, okay, now I need to go get makeup jobs again. So I was like, well, let me just work on my skill first, so I don't embarrass myself, because I wasn't doing makeup every day.
Right.
And so I realized that I went to go redo my kit. A lot of the things that I used to use, they changed the formulation, or the shade range changed, or everything was new. It literally was like I was starting from scratch, and I was scared to death.
Right.
And so I really was like, okay, I need to be better. And I didn't have money to pay for photographers. And that's why I bought a camera, because I was like, I could just invite people to my house, do makeup, and just see what it looks like on camera.
Right.
But when I started really looking through makeup through the lens of a camera, it changed my whole perspective.
Wow.
I really leaned in and was thinking a lot about skin, and like how makeup impacts how skin looks like in real life and on camera. And there was all these different effects that I wanted to do on camera, but didn't have the products to create it. Right. So that's when everything changed. Right. That's where Vision Cream Cover was born. That's where the Enlight powders were born. That's where
Don't talk about it.
It was all about skin. Yeah.
So for those of you who are listening and don't know what Enlight powders are, they are literally the best highlighters. I still have mine. I'm hoarding it. Okay.
You'll never run out. No need to hoard. Like, you can use it every day for the next 30 years and you will still have a full jar.
I know, but what if I want to mix it in my little body lotion and,
Yeah, true. Yeah. But you need to, like, that was like one of my favorite things that I've ever worked on, because like, if you like think about all of the different sizes of pearls that are available and tones of pigments, like coming up with those recipes in my basement and making them look really beautiful, especially on deeper skin tones, because that was my biggest pet peeve. I wanted the skin to glow, and every time I would use glow on somebody with a deeper skin tone on camera, it looked ashy. Right. So like I was on a mission to make highlighter look really beautiful on all skin tones. And I'm so proud of what we did with the Enlight powders, because we did a full range and everybody loved them. And even the deeper shades you can use on the fairer skin tones. Like, yeah, I'm super proud of that. Right. But like you said, you bought one, I don't know in what year, but if you bought it in the year that it launched, you still have a full container of it. So
I cherish it. Okay, so but I love that, I love to see the growth, because it was Enlight. And now you just launched low lighters. Yes. Can you tell us about the low light powder creams?
Yeah. So for me,
burn balm, sorry.
Yeah. It's really about like I'm very fixated on skin and how skin looks and how people feel about their skin and how it translates, not just in real life but on camera. And texture is a big thing. Like most people on the planet are concerned about texture of their skin. Not everybody's a supermodel, and so highlighters inherently, they are natural amplifiers. They amplify shape, but they also amplify texture. And so for me, it was really hard for me to wear highlighter because I have a lot of texture. Right. And a lot of the clients that I worked with had texture. And so I used to bury the highlighter underneath the foundation, because that was the only way for me to manage texture. Right. But it's and that's where the brainchild of a lot of other products came from. But people like to finish off their look with highlighter. And so the whole goal was, for everybody who can't just throw on a highlighter over their pores and find lines, like what's for them. Right. And so that's where that idea came from. Like, you still can live in this like highlighter space, but it manages your textures. It blurs texture. So if you don't have texture, you're just having fun with a beautiful highlighter. But if you do, you're going to see a noticeable difference. Right. And not everybody likes high light Tamaras. Like, I lived in the space of highlighted Tamaras for a long time. Not for me, but for the skin that I was just like, what planet has not seen this highlighter? But it's not, in everyday life, that's not everyone's go-to. They're like a little subtle, like, oh, something's there. Right.
You don't know what it is.
Exactly. So it's like a really sophisticated, elegant way to approach highlighter that feels like it's a part of you, but it's not amplifying the things that you're not comfortable with your skin. So that's where that came from.
So you can apply it on top of makeup, but are you using it more so as like an underpainting technique?
No, you can use it both ways, but it's really designed to just pop it on top. You could use it on top of powders, any complexion product, but it also works beautiful underneath. So it's any way you slice it. Yeah.
Okay. So what is your most used DMB product? I mean, I know you use obviously this is your brand,
Yeah.
but like, what is you have your babies, your favorites that you use almost every day?
I mean, till the end of time, Color Fix is going to be like, that is, I think Color Fix represents like who I am as a brand, you know, who I am as an artist. Like, it'll always be my number one.
Mm-hmm.
But Color Fix is not something that everybody feels comfortable using.
Right.
Because it's in the tube. Just imagine, as an artist, you understand it completely. But, you know, if you like my mom, it took her time to figure out how to work with Color Fix, and now she's obsessed.
Right.
It's not the obvious go-to.
Mm-hmm.
And I really wanted to create this like all over face expression where whether you're an artist or you're somebody who's just trying to figure out your makeup, you have like a one and done kind of tool.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where Groundwork came from. And I use Groundwork all day, every day. Like, it literally
And you're in it right now.
my one and done. It's in my brows, it's my eye, it's my
Right.
contour, it's my lip, it's my everything. And I'm really proud of that too, that storytelling. So if I had to say, Blurring Balm
Mm-hmm.
and Groundwork is my daily, like, everyday makeup routine.
So when you do Blurring Balm, how do you wear it?
I just slap it on with my fingers. Like, I'm
No,
very
do you like
basic
prep,
Betty.
like, how do you like? Do you prep your? Do you put it on? I use Blurring Balm as a primer, the clear one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, little known fact, all of the shades of Blurring Balm powder can be used as a primer.
Mhm.
Essentially, I wanted something that you can use alone, use it under, or use it on top.
Mm-hmm.
And so everybody uses it differently.
Mm-hmm.
So if you use one of the tinted shades, it can be a tinted primer, or
Right.
you can use it as your coverage.
Right.
So I just slap it on as my coverage
Mm-hmm.
all day.
Is there any particular formulas of moisturizer that you should be cognizant of before you put it on, or you could use any?
No, you can use anything. And honestly, that's also something I guess I should talk about more. Like, understanding how a lot of people think if you're using a water-based foundation, you need a water. Like, I formulate everything to be used with everything. Like these primers, it doesn't matter what kind of foundation that you're using, it's going to work beautifully with either one. But Blurring Balm in particular, there was a lot of science and thought behind it. Like, it seems very simple because it's a balm you could just slap on. And that really was the intention, to take a lot of like pro concepts and layering concepts and put it into one so that anybody could pick it up and get the most beautiful results.
Right.
But it's really designed as a texture reducing, like, resurfacer that absorbs excess oil and sweat. And these are things that most people, they'll use their powder at the end of an application to do.
Right.
But powder, for most people, amplifies texture.
Right.
Right? You can see your age. And it's clearer for me. I'm in my 50s now. Like, I'm always
Amazing.
making things that don't
Right.
accentuate the things that are happening. I want to be able to age gracefully. So it's doing a lot of things that you don't have to think about. Even the balm texture itself, that texture took like a year to figure out, because it's designed to be super easy to lay over your skin. But once it hits your skin, it transforms to something else. It transforms to a powder, a primer, a blurring agent, or this or
Right.
that. It's like all of these things, but you don't have to think about it.
Right. I say this all the time on the podcast, but I have an affinity to makeup artists' own brands, because you do the work. So you know what we need and you know what the public needs. So it's just like, I love how versatile all of your products basically
Thank
are.
you. I'm glad that you
Basically,
see that.
yeah.
And I can't make something that my pros can't use. That would be very embarrassing. I wouldn't be able to show my face anywhere.
No, listen, we need it all. Okay, so but you've gone through a lifetime of experience, and now you are like, everybody knows Danessa.
I don't know if it's everybody. We're working.
If you don't know, then listen, you're sleeping under a rock, right? Hey, friends, don't forget, if you are loving this episode, which I am sure you are because Danessa is amazing, we have secret episodes and we will send them directly to you. Yes, there is going to be a secret episode with Danessa, and not only a secret episode, but we're also doing a giveaway. So stay tuned to our TikTok, our Instagram, and our YouTube to find out more details. All of the information to sign up for the secret episodes are in the show notes. And let's just get back into the conversation because this is going too good. But okay, so now you're in retail, and being in retail is a huge step for a brand.
Yeah.
However, I feel like at this point we all know that being in retail could literally make or break a brand. Like you start off, with your little section, then you have your little end cap, and then you move to your gondola. But how do you navigate being in a huge retailer surrounded by legacy brands?
It's really tricky because, our brand is really a very grassroots brand. It was built on the people who purchased from us, the pros primarily, right? And every product that was made through their lens. Sephora nobody knows me. Like if you think of the average Sephora shopper, they're walking in, and to your point, they know their NARS, they know their MAC, they know all of these legacy brands. They're like, who is this Danessa Myricks, right? So it's hard work. It's very competitive because they have no clue. And also, they're looking at products through a different lens. It's an everyday consumer. And, I have a line full of products that are very pro-friendly, pro-centric, made easy for a consumer. But I don't have a brand that's like, I am a lipstick, I am an eyeshadow, So there was all these complexities, layered with the fact that I'm in a space and nobody knows who I am. So it's really tricky. And, Sephora has been an amazing partner. They really do believe in the brand. And they really worked very closely with me just to understand what the landscape would be like. But, you're in this space, you need to be competitive with all these legacy brands, but you also need to be who you are. And that's the challenge, right? I need to always be Danessa Myricks Beauty. I don't want to shift my identity to match what's in the store. So it's really the reverse of, how do I bring more people into the store who understand who I am? Or how can I educate people to my ideas about makeup and how to use it? So it's real complicated and it's hard. And, when you're in retail, their job, as much as they may love you, every inch of that space has to be productive. So you have to be productive. And so there's a million different things to think about when you launch, how you're launching, what shades, and all of the things. And to do all of that and be competitive in an environment where people have lots of money and you don't, makes it even harder. And so I feel really blessed that I have a community of people who are really championing me and supporting me. Because if it were not for that, honestly, we'd be yet another brand who entered in Sephora and had a quick exit from Sephora too. Like the community has been the wind beneath my wings from day one. Yeah.
Wow. I love that. And I do agree with you. Beauty has become so homogenous where it's just like, I get it. You see one product launch and then you're like, wait. 3 brands have the same launch. What's going on? So like when you are thinking about product development and what you're launching next, do you ever take into consideration what's happening around you? You're just like, you know what? I have to.
Yeah, I don't. And I think, a lot of people be like, well, that's dumb. But I really don't. And that's why I don't wear any other brand. Like people send me products all the time. I don't even touch it. I don't wear it. I don't want to be skewed. I really want to live in my brand and figure out what's missing within the scope of Danessa Myricks Beauty, right? If you think about it, if everybody, to your point, is launching this exact same thing, the person with the biggest dollars and the biggest legacy will always win, right? I can't play that game, right? And so, a lot of brands make really beautiful things, but when I'm thinking about building what the legacy for this brand is, it's really very innovation forward. It's like staying true to who I am as an artist and how I think about products. I think we win by being different. Yeah, that's our superpower. So I just need to lean into it.
It's like you never know what's coming next. Okay, so being as a Black female founded brand that's not just created for Black people, what do you want the legacy for Danessa Myricks to be?
People ask me that all the time, and one, I want us to be here forever. And I really look to the brand to like really change the way that people as a whole think about beauty. Like I really think that beauty connects the hearts and minds of people around the world. And when you make something that's different and unique and inspires people, whether you're in Spain or you're in Ukraine or you're in Brazil, and you build a community around it, it changes the way that people see people globally. And I've seen it happen over and over again through the brand. So it's a real responsibility, I feel, because I know how beauty impacts. It's not on the surface level that a lot of people think about. It's like these deeper relationships, like, you know, people in warring countries coming together and loving each other just because they have something similar that they can align on and build from that space. And the brand has done that from the very beginning.
Right.
And so for me, I want also to be able to tell a story that it is possible to create for everyone, because everyone will tell you no. They're like, you need to pick. Right. You need to choose, like, what are you doing? Because you can't do everyone well. And I don't believe that.
Yeah.
I believe if that's your intention, you can.
Right.
And that's really the story that I'm trying to tell through the brand. You can consider everyone.
Right.
And everyone can feel good and welcome in your space if that's your intention.
Right.
Yeah.
So talking about, you know, everyone feeling welcome in your space, you just launched the Pride Palette.
Yeah.
Tell us more about that.
I mean, for me, like, the queer community has supported me from day one. You know, in general, like, I'm always leaning to amplify communities that are marginalized or don't get the respect and appreciation and the adoration that they deserve. And the queer community is one of those communities, and all of those misconceptions and everything else that comes along with it, the suffering that comes along with it.
Right.
And like, I feel that on a very deep level.
Right.
You know, it's in my family, it's in my personal relationships too. And in the beauty community, like that, this community has lifted me up in ways I cannot explain, has inspired me in ways, has supported me in ways that I could never repay. So we're amplifying this community always, right? But I feel like when there's a time dedicated to amplifying this community, I 100% will participate.
Right.
And make something special,
right,
you know, for this community. The Pride Palette is part of that, like the campaign, everything. Like, I'm barely present because it's not about me.
Right.
It's like everyone who's talking about this palette, that helped in the design of the palette, who did all the photo shoots for it, the people who were showing in the campaign, like even the shoot, like everybody who worked on that shoot was from the queer community. Like, that's just how it's my moment to show my appreciation for a community that's always lifted me up and supported me. And it's just a reminder, like, for me, like, I just think this whole world would be a different place if we start from a place of love, in spite of our differences. And this is just one of those moments to continue to tell that story.
Right. I think it's also so beautiful how you are being the change that you wish you saw, because, you know, being a creative, you are on set all the time, and it's just like the behind the scenes does not match what sometimes it's in front of the camera, you know.
100%.
And like, the story is just told more authentically when the stories are the stories are coming from the people that actually lived
exactly it. I totally agree.
But you didn't this wasn't the first product that you had the chrome flakes as well, right?
Yeah, we've been celebrating Pride from the very beginning. We did it with what we had. I think as early as like 2020, we did like a Pride expression through Color Fix. Like, every year we do something.
That bandana, I remember.
Yeah, we do. We're always doing something, and we're always like, it's more than just the products. It's just things we do on a community level that we're not always talking about and shouting out loud, but we're doing the things at all times. Yeah.
Right. So we have a friend of the podcast. Her name is Heather, and she really wants to start with yummy skin, but she just doesn't know where
to begin.
Where to start. What advice would you give to her?
So the word yummy is really an acronym for your unique, most magical you. So it's really about it's really about the individual. And when you look at the Yummy collection, we're really trying to tell very specific stories around, like, just how you like to express yourself in makeup and like your specific skin type. So it's really about her. Does she like to be dewy? Does she like to be matte? Like, what are her specific concerns? And literally, she can mix and match based on that. So if she tells me what she's looking for, I can create her very unique and specific recipe. And I think that's what that whole collection is. Like, I really want people to step away from what they think they need to look like and
Right.
really embrace who they are and
Mhm.
what they want to look like.
Right.
Even if it's different than what's being expressed in the world. So
Right.
like everybody gets their unique recipe.
Right.
That's the idea behind that whole collection.
Right. I think we both share a love for beauty education.
Yeah.
And, you've mentored so many people, through the makeup show and artists and things like that. Can you tell us more about, like, how you mentor and, like, somebody might be like, I want to learn from Danessa.
Yeah.
I mean, your time is not the same, but
No, but that's why I do a lot of different types of things because to your point, like there's like I would love to have anybody who's looking to start a business just come to my office and be with me every day, but this is not practical.
right.
And it's hard to dedicate. I mean, time is one of the things that I'm working on creating more and more every day. But I just go back to when I started and I think about like how different my journey would have been if I just had answers, even just simple answers, how much time I wouldn't have wasted, right? Especially like I was at a very critical point in my, like literally I'm a single mom with a newborn and a 7-year-old with no income. Like every decision mattered, right? And what are the things that I wish I knew at that time? And so I've always, from the very beginning, like, there's no secrets here. You ask me, I'm going to give you the answer. I'm going to tell you everything that I know because, like, I'm always seeing myself through their eyes. And I just know how much that can impact someone. So I do a lot of things. Like, there's never a time when somebody would call me and ask me a thing and you're not going to get the answer. There's no gatekeeping here. But I wanted to be able to do it as much as possible on grander scales, right? So, like when it comes to the makeup show through those hands-on classes, or whether it's what Artist is like a program that is so near and dear to my heart. It was myself, James and Shelly, because we knew like, yes, you can come to the makeup show and you can learn so much, but there's a lot of things outside of your artistry and the products that you're going to use, that other tools that we need to really like drive our business forward. So it's, I'm really trying to find as many moments. If somebody has an accelerator program, I'm like, yes, I'll do it. If somebody's having like a panel, I'll sit on, like, because those are things I know that I can do. I just know how important the information is. It's always been a part of my beauty journey. And even when I may not be doing this anymore, it's always going to be something that I lean into, when it's all said and done, because I know how it can impact. And, if any experience that I've had, whether it was a failure or a win, my story is going to help make that journey shorter and more efficient for the next person, right? And that's the goal. We need more people who are like us, doing bigger things, more like-minded people, being able to get to the end result faster. That's the only way we're going to change things. It's the only way we're going to win as a community, right? So, yeah, I need like 100 more female-founded brands. I need to support that because, tide lifts all boats, right? So that's really the mindset. Right. And so the answer is always yes,
That's beautiful.
And then we figure it out.
With the answer being always yes, that means that you are very busy. What does an average day look like for you? Because you're the brains, you're the photographer, you're the mentor, you're the queen.
He's so silly. It's not sexy, I'll tell you that. And it's completely different every day, and it's completely different at every hour of the day because I have to do the CEO thing, I have to do the product developer thing, and I have to do like the artist thing.
Some days is like CEO, some days is
and like, most days it's all of it, all at once. It's a lot of travel. It's a lot. It's a lot. But there's no part of it that I would change, right? There's no part of it that I would change. So it's really about being very intentional with every moment. But the days are long. I usually start my days around 4:30 or 5 in the morning. 5 is like my traditional starting point. And I take that first hour for me. And then I'm at the office usually around 6:15, 6:30. And I'm usually going home around 10. I try and get into bed at like 10:05.
I'm like, tell us the vitamins and supplements because I'll be like, I think that nap.
Yeah, no, I need a nap. Yeah, I do. But I when you love it, when it's a part of who you are, yeah. So really as much as it drains, it fuels at the same time. And I wouldn't want it any other way.
Yeah, I've been coming off planes, going straight to set the next day. And I'm like, where did I get this energy? Yes. Because I'm all dancing on set, having a good old time. But Danessa, this is such a great conversation. But I want to know, like, tell us something we might not know about you.
Oh man. Maybe most people don't know that I've had like literally 10 lives. I used to be a backup singer. I used to be lots of things. I used to be in healthcare. I've had so many lives. Like I used to be really big in network marketing, like all of the things. Like this is life number 12.
So the backup singer.
Yeah, we're not gonna talk about that. But just know, like, I used to hang out at African Bambata's house. Like, Jazzy J was, like, one of my boos. Like, yeah.
What?
I love, like, the whole thing. Yeah.
I didn't know you sang.
Yeah, well, don't ask me to sing now. Like,
No, I'm not gonna.
I was a youngin' back then. But it was
Oh my God.
I said yes to a lot of things. You know, you're just trying to find your way. Yeah.
How do you deal with, you know, like, how can I say this? Like, letting go of things you thought you once wanted. Because I'm sure when you were living the life of singing, there was like, you had all these dreams, right? And then you're in that market, you maybe had all these dreams. How do you like let go and like start fresh? Because sometimes it's hard to let go of dreams.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. What I realized with all the things that I've done, my real thing is I've always wanted to connect with people on a deep level.
Mm-hmm.
And so music does that, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I realized that I didn't necessarily want that thing. Mm-hmm. I have to keep asking myself, why? Why do you want that? Like, what is the end result? And the more I do that math, I'm realizing that, you know, I would have never chosen like running a beauty brand either. I'm doing it because it's on a grander scale, allowing me to connect with people on a deeper level and like affect people's lives, right? So I think I've found what the thread was. And I'm always having those conversations with my kids and then people who I mentor also, because you think you want the thing that you want, but you don't necessarily want that thing. You want how it makes you feel or how you think it's going to make you feel in the end. Or you want the result of how you think it's going to affect the people around you.
Right.
And so if you could just do the work to really get down to the nitty gritty of what it really is.
Yeah.
You know, I always say, you know, this might not even be the end of my, this is probably on the road to something else, right? And it's hard to say that out loud because you're like, oh no, I'm never going to get.
Right.
But you don't know. Yeah. You know, it's really about just following your intuition and let the journey take you where it needs to take you. And sometimes it's taking you routes where you're going to go through very painful experiences so that you can learn from that, so that it brings you to those beautiful experiences. It's like, it's all part of it. And that's my mantra, is really just like embracing the journey. This is not who I am. It's not the beginning or the end of anything. It's just this part.
Right.
And just trying to be where my feet are in this part and learning the lessons that I need to learn.
that was so beautiful, Danessa.
Thank you.
I'm like, wow. Thank you for that. You're speaking to me right now, and I'm sure to everyone that's listening, definitely, it really, you know, feel inspired right
Thank
now.
you. I'm gonna cry. I don't want to.
No,
because I'm like, hey, wait.
I know it's been an emotional week.
That
so
meant something.
Like,
that meant something to be saying the words out loud.
Yeah,
too,
sometimes you have to just, you also have to remind yourself. Yeah, you know what I mean. Well, speaking about embracing the journey, I mean, you don't have to tell us anything specific, but what can we look forward to from Danessa Myricks Beauty?
You know, I'm really working on letting my imagination flow without fear. And so there are a lot of ideas that I've had in the past where I'm just like, they're not going to get it. You know, they're not going to get it. It's like so far-fetched. But now I'm just like, I'm leaning in. You know, if I have an idea, I'm just like, it was sent to me for a reason and I'm leaning in. So I'm leaning into something that I imagined. And it'll come to life this year. And then we'll see if other people felt the way that I do about this particular thing. I'm always trying to reimagine how we think about things that we use every day in our beauty routine.
Right.
And how much more fun they could be.
Yeah, because some people, it's like, you can't reinvent the wheel, but you can.
Yes. Yes.
You can.
Yes.
What are you looking forward to for the rest of the year, personally? Outside of work, what is Danessa?
I really am paying very close attention to personal relationships, and just reminding myself that any day could be the last day. Like this could potentially be the last time I have a conversation with you. And
We
like
have some wood we can knock.
no,
No,
and
it's
so
for
it's
real
just
though,
like I'm really like
yeah.
working on cherishing the moments
Yeah.
and with the people who matter.
Mm-hmm.
Really forming deeper relationships with my children. Like, you know, I lost my father what feels like yesterday, and I'm like, you know, my mom is still here on the planet, and I'm just like, I want to ask her all the questions I could ask. I want to just experience as much as I can.
Right.
I want to be able to talk to my kids and tell them everything that I wanted to say, because of what if this is the last day for me to do this? That's I guess it's because of the age I am right now. I'm very cognizant of that.
Right.
And at this age, you lose a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so I'm really, really thoughtful about what is the message? What is somebody feeling when they have time with me? What am I sharing?
Yeah.
What am I leaving them with? Like it's top of mind for me, and it's everybody. It's my immediate circle and friends. Letting them know like how much they mean to me, like every day, which can be a little annoying, but I'm like, oh, just a reminder, I'm obsessed with you. I love you. These are the 10 reasons why. Like,
I'll send you a 10-minute voice.
Yeah. So it's like I'm really trying to be better at that, because I really do get consumed in the work.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, people aren't going to remember this thing I made. They're going to remember how I made them feel.
Right.
And that's so true. I just want to make sure I'm saying all of the things and thinking about how I may have impacted someone's lives, because we all make mistakes, or we all may have an intention that didn't translate to the person that we intended it for in the way that we intended it, and just trying to clean up. I'm cleaning up and adjusting with every day.
Right.
So on a personal side, that's that, and also just falling deeper in love with myself, because I spent a lot of time just not really loving every part of me for what it is, and working on changing. I was always focused on changing.
Right.
And for me, it's like, I just really want to just love who I am right now. And it doesn't mean that I don't want to make it better or worse, but just loving who I am right now. That's the work.
Yeah.
That
We're
I'm
all
doing right now.
a work in progress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love you. Thank you.
Thank you. You're amazing. You're amazing. Well,
this was the best hour of my life.
No, you are just everything. Okay, so I mean, if for those who may not have met Danessa before, Danessa, please tell us all the ways we can find you on social.
It's Danessa Myricks everything. You type Danessa Myricks, you'll find me on every platform, from Instagram to TikTok to the places I need to spend more time on, like LinkedIn and everything else. Like,
I just want to thank you so much for your energy, for your time. I am in awe of you, and I am sure that everyone that has been listening is also in awe of you as well. I wish you all of the success, all of the blessings, and that, your aura ring gives you some good news soon.
And I just want to thank you for creating this really beautiful, safe space to be able to connect like this and share my story. Like, this is not an easy thing to do, and we're very thoughtful, intentional about everything that you ask, and it's a beautiful thing that you're doing, like connecting the world in this way and sharing these stories in this way, making sure people hear and feel what they need to hear and feel to do what they need to do. So thank you for being courageous enough to do this.
Thank you. Now you're making me cry about a podcast. Well, that is it for this episode. Thank you so much, Danessa. You are so amazing. Don't forget, we are on Instagram, TikTok, and on YouTube if you want to see our beautiful faces. And of course, all of the information is in the show notes. And remember that we also have secret episodes. I'm going to leave the link to that in the down bar in the show notes. But I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye, guys.
Bye.